And we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Sheep Kashir podcast. We're here, we talk about people, politics, and popular culture. I'm your host, Austin Creed. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a really tough show. I'm going to be going against the grain as per usual. But this is going to be a very politics and philosophy heavy show. I have not touched much on this issue because it's very complex. However, there are elements of it that I had to deal with very directly when I was in the Air Force. And so I think it's about time that I cannot mention anything that's classified that I may or may not know. So therefore, I will have to keep myself very accountable today by writing the line and honor the promise that I gave to my country when I learned certain things, potentially. And so, if it seems like I'm being very coy or very vague, it's for a very legit reason. And so, I know you might want me to just spit some things out, but I'm giving you this disclaimer out the gate because there's some things I cannot directly address, and certain things that if I said would lead me to potentially be going to jail. So you're going to have to forgive me for not being able to just spell it out for you as I normally do on the show. I can only give you so much. And I can only speculate upon certain things because otherwise I could potentially have very legal ramifications come down on me. And that disclaimer out the way, we're going to be talking about the Russian war games. We're going to be talking about what's going on in Russia, why certain things are happening, why I believe they're happening, and how, yet again, I hate to be the person to tell you this. I hate it. I wish I could sit here and tell you the media does not lie. They don't get things wrong. They don't push certain narratives, but they do. And so I have to be here yet again to tell you that what you read in the media, what you saw on TV, which even some people on the right, I've heard them get it wrong. But when it comes down to it today, I'm going to have to really pull back the curtain on some of the things that I know. So, for those of you who don't know what you're listening to, don't know who you're listening to more accurately. I worked in the Air Force for almost 2 years with my AFSC being nuclear weapons. And so I know and I was in when the Ukraine war first started. And so I'm very aware of what's going on. And I'm not super, super high up or anything, or wasn't, but I know certainly a lot more than the media does. They know bits and pieces. They know the very bare minimum. But we're going to be talking... For any of you who saw the Wagner Rebellion, I have a lot to say on that. But before I really get into detail on this, I want your voice to be heard. If you want to follow me on Twitter at Austin Creed, show some love for me. Want to follow the show, respond to my tweets, get involved in the community, I would highly recommend you do that. If you want to leave a comment in the comment section of the YouTube or Rumble video you're watching, you're more than welcome to do that. But Twitter is probably the best way to reach me because I'm on there a decent amount. So I look forward to interacting with y'all over there. But folks, we're going to really hop in here because I really want to get started on this. I think first, for those of you who don't know anything about warfare, the history of warfare, for those of you who have read The Art of War by Sun Tzu, you'll know a couple things. Number one, Sun Tzu said all warfare is based on deception. And number two, you'll most likely know that he said, in his words, the victorious warrior wins first, then goes to war. While the defeated warriors go to war first, then seek victory. It's no accident what the Russians have done. It disgusts me when I see people talk about, whether it's newsmen or women or people or know-nothings on Twitter, know-nothings and just loudmouth louts who don't know anything about history or about Russia, about nuclear weapons, anything. It makes me sick to listen to these people because they don't know what they're talking about. My friends, I firmly, and now, this is one man's opinion. While it is one man's opinion, I have a lot of facts to back this up, and certain other things that I might not be able to discuss. But when I say that I believe that the Wagner Rebellion was a false flag, I firmly believe that. Now again, one man's opinion. Feel free to disagree with me. You can call me a conspiracy theorist. You can call me whatever you want. But by the end of the show today, you're going to have a better understanding of the Russian conflict than you did before. First of all, there's this concept, or a doctrine more like, that's called the reflexive control doctrine. Essentially, it's reverse psychology in layman's terms, but it's used on an international global scale. Our leadership in this country, more specifically our Pentagon leadership, our federal leadership, they're more concerned about transgender issues, gender identity issues, than they are about learning Sun Tzu, than they are learning about how warfare actually operates. They're more worried about how the minority in the military, how they feel, than about the strategists studying the strategical geniuses of the past and realizing that they're being played and subverted from within. How many of you saw, I know this was a couple days ago, but how many of you saw, oh, Putin's he's losing control, he's losing his grip on the Russian reins of leadership, and before you know it, he's going to be thrown out, throw the bomb out, and we're going to have a revolution in Russia, and everything's going to be great, and the Russians are going to replace him, and this, that, and the other thing. For those of you who actually want that, that's a horrible idea. And I'll tell you why. Horrible. Number one, for those of you who don't know, Russia has an arsenal of, last time I checked and had the official numbers, is about 6,000 nuclear warheads. That's right, 6,000. We have about half that at best. I'd give you the exact number, but I can't. And they range from anything from a TAC, which is little more than an actual bomb with radiation, with trace amounts of radiation left behind, to a bomb that they called Tsar Bomba, which I know sounds stupid, but it was the biggest detonation ever to be used. It almost killed the pilot who dropped it. It was dropped in Russia during the height of the Cold War. They were so afraid of this bomb, they thought it was going to create a crater that would go straight to the center of the earth. That's how big this thing was. Biggest yield to have ever been tested in human history. Now, I'm not saying they still have that, but I'm also not saying that they don't have that because we don't have proof. But here's what you need to realize. Those nukes don't just disappear. Do you really want those to be in the hands of revolutionaries? Do you really want those to be used? I don't. I know what nuclear war does. Nobody wins. It's mutually assured destruction of the highest order. Anybody who lived during the Cold War could tell you that. From anything from what Roy Disney produced, Duck and Cover. You ever heard of that? Yeah. People lived in fear of this every day of the week, and now our generation, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the millennials, they're seeing this in full effect. The Cold War is back. Except Ukraine is receiving the brunt of it. It's not cold in Ukraine. And I gotta tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, I despise Zelensky. I feel for the Ukrainian people. And he is no ally of theirs as far as I'm concerned. He does not care about their lives. If he did, he'd be trying to look for peace. He's not looking for peace. He's looking to tear Putin to pieces. That's what he's looking to do. He's not trying to care for his people. He's not Winston Churchill for you know-nothings out there who thinks he's some combination of George Washington and Winston Churchill. He is not. He is not anywhere close to that. I think it's horrible what's happened to the Ukrainian people. I'm on the side of peace, which is why it makes me sick to see the war games that Russia's playing, and they're winning. Make no mistake about it. They are winning the war games, both physical and mental, against the United States, against Ukraine, and against NATO itself. I love it. I love it. They say that Putin is weak, while simultaneously saying they're afraid he's going to win in Ukraine and then head into Poland. Well, which one is it? Is he weak, or is he going to go against NATO? Which one is it? The Wagner Rebellion, if you look at it, Putin is he's selling us a bill of goods that he wants us to believe, that he knows that the American people are very inclined to believe. They want to believe he's weak. We want to believe he's incompetent, that he's no good, that he's out of touch with reality, that he's crazy, that he's this and that he's that. Do you not think he gains something by feeding us what we want to hear about him? Do you really not think that feeding into this deception, he doesn't gain by it? Like Sun Tzu said, all warfare is based on deception. And yet here we are, thinking that we're not being deceived and that we see everything. We don't. It's ludicrous to think that. How do you explain that the people that he says turning against him, where are they being hung in public? Where are they? Are they rotting in the street somewhere? No. Why is that? If they're so ruthless and so horrible, and he's such a war criminal, do you really not think he would take out the people who are rebelling against him and hang them out in the street as an example for everybody around them to see what would happen if they try to turn on him? Oh, I'm sorry. Am I making too much sense to you? Have you turned off the show, you liberal fools who don't want to believe what I'm telling to you? Yeah, that's what I thought. I know you couldn't handle it. Look, I want nothing more than to believe what's being said. Trust me. I want nothing more than to believe it. But that is the problem. Do you not think for 1 second that there's a problem with it almost sounding too good to be true? We're winning too much? There's too much good going on right now? Do you really think that it's that it's not? We're not stupid. At least you shouldn't be. Look at this. It's just not how reality works. Again, warfare is based on deception. Look at this. The reflexive control doctrine is controlling someone. Look, I told you, it's like reverse psychology, but this is what is taught to the Russian military. This and Sun Tzu are taught to the Russian military personnel, versus in our system, we're taught how to be sensitive and culturally appropriate and politically correct, while they're learning about Sun Tzu and about the reflexive control doctrine, which was created by a mathematician who loved war. Yes, that's right. Reflexive control is control someone has over their opponent's decisions by imposing on them assumptions that will change the way they act. In other words, it's a false flag event where they're trying to get you to believe X, but it's actually Y. And then you act upon X when in fact it was Y, and then they got you. Because you acted on a false notion, false information. And then they caught you in a trap because they knew you'd take the bait. And Schmuck Joe in the White House is taking the bait. He thinks that, he's lying to you saying that Putin is weak. He's not weak. He's ex-KGB. Do you really think the guy is weak and stupid? No, he's not. I'd like nothing more than to say he's weak and stupid, but he's not. He's very intelligent. He's very smart. In fact, he's so smart, he gets you schmuck leftist nobodies to think that he's dumb. He's so smart, you think he's dumb. He's so smart, you think he's incompetent, he's weak, and that he's on the verge of losing when he's never had it so good and he's winning. It's called a feint. And yet people are falling for it. We've spent billions of dollars in Ukraine, and how are the Ukrainian people doing these days? Not very good. Where are all the crops going to go that Ukraine is that's usually harvested in Ukraine that goes around the world? Answer, it's going nowhere. or it's going to a Russian stockpile, which they'll charge us double for when the famine starts. Oh, make no mistake about it. Worldwide food shortage coming to a neighborhood near you. You think I'm making it up? I hope I am. But something tells me I'm not. These are the war games being played by Russia. The lie about Putin being weak. The lies about how the war in Ukraine is essential to American national security when in fact it is not. The deception that you are being sold every day of the week is disgusting, and I'm sick of it. I've seen it over and over again, and part of me said, you know what? Don't get involved in this. It's too close to home. It's too central. Just go back to talking about male issues. Go back to talking about marriage. Go back to talking about philosophy. Go back to talking about something that's not charged and not completely saturated like this is. Well, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it. And you're more than welcome to disagree with me. In fact, I fully expect people to take me out of context. I fully expect people to say, this Austin Creed, he said this and he said that. Go ahead. Because what I actually said is on tape. This is not edited. I have not edited any part of this. What you're going to hear is me straight up, not edited, nothing added, just me, just thoughts, just research, just stats. That's it. No BS, no fluff, nothing. Nothing extra here. For those of you who don't know what a false flag is, I'll give you the actual definition. I gave you a brief definition, but I'll give you an official definition. Here it is. A false flag operation is an act committed with the intent of disguising the actual source of responsibility and pinning the blame on another party. In other words, they have the intent to deceive you, and then they scapegoat somebody else, and you buy it because you're a schmuck. Yes, that's right. Do you really think they're not doing that? Do you really think that no games are being played here? There's nothing more. Let me tell you something. Do you really trust the media to give you everything? If you do, then you're really, really lost. Whether it's information from me, from CNN, if you even count them as information, Fox, wherever you go for your news, you need to look at multiple different sources. You need to make sure you make up your own mind. Don't just believe what people tell you to believe. Use your own brain power. Don't act like you have a room temperature IQ. It's disgusting, and so many people do it. There are a lot of war games being played by the Russians, by the Chinese. It's all over the place. And we in America are more obsessed with sex, gender, who's on first. We're focused on anything but the objective reality of what's facing us in the next year, next 2 years, next 3 years. That's why I'm doing the show today. I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand the garbage. I can't stand the lies. I can't stand the misinformation. I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand people ignoring reality, trying to make $2 when tomorrow your entire system of government could get destroyed and is already being circumnavigated and subverted by cyber attacks, by misinformation, by false flags, and everything in between. I want you to use your brain. I want you to think critically and not be taken in and gulled by these know-nothing lemmings in the government that are there for identity politics and for representing corporate interests instead of representing you, the American citizen who is supposed to be represented by a representative government. Joe Biden is not leading us. Gavin Newsom is not leading us. Kamala Harris, not leading us. So when the government will not lead the people must lead the government. You must lead the government. You must say, hey, I'm not buying this rubbish anymore. I see reality, I see what's happening, and I'm going to act accordingly. I'm just one voice in the wilderness. I can't do it all myself. I need other people to see reality the way it is, to use their own critical thinking skills, and to be ready for what comes tomorrow, because you best believe that something new is coming down the pipe tomorrow and the next day and the day after that. Are you ready for it? I certainly hope so. My friends, if you have any thoughts, questions, concerns, anything you want to say, follow me on Twitter at Austin Creed or at Aussie Creed, Auzzzie. Or you can leave it in the comment section of this video. Make no mistake about it. More is to come. This is only the beginning. And I hope to look back and say I was wrong, because I'm usually too much on the money for my own good. Regardless of what comes today, tomorrow, and the day after that, may God bless you, may God bless your family, and may God bless the United States of America. We're out of here. Have a great rest of your day. Stay alert, my friends, because the world is an unforgiving place, and deception follows you everywhere that you go, and you have to be able to see through the lies and be able to really glimpse the truth.